Hey, everybody. Welcome to Cast Conversations. I am here with just part one of our cast conversations with the cast members of Terms of Endearment. I have with me today Paige Ulevich and Beau Bostock, who will be joining us here in a second, just to have a casual conversation about the process of Terms of Endearment, their characters in general, our partnership at LFCC, and all the good things to come. We open May 20th. And we close May 29th. So you have 2 weekends to come and see this wonderful, hilarious, and heartwarming story about relationships, really, in general. Of course, the main relationship is between a mother and a daughter, and we're going to meet them today. But the other relationships are husband and wife, lovers, friends. It's all about who your circle is and who surrounds you, the happy times and the not so happy times. So I'm going to bring on Beau and Paige. Yay! There's Paige and there's Beau. Hi, you guys.
Hi.
Hi.
So welcome to Cast Conversations. I did this with Fall of Heaven, and it was just a great conversation. So I was like, oh, let's keep it going. Why not? Especially for folks that may not know the story about Terms of Endearment or have seen the movie and maybe a little bit nervous about a stage production version of it. And you two are the stars of the show. Yes?
Yeah.
So, Paige, why don't you tell us who you are and what character you play, and are you excited to play that role or not?
I am Paige Ulevich. I've been in a few productions with Selah Theater now. I am playing Aurora Greenway, who is the mother. Shirley MacLaine was the one who played it in the movie and won an Emmy, an Oscar for it. An Oscar, one of those. She won an award for it. And I'm very excited to do this role. I looked forward to auditioning for it for months. I'm a little nervous. This is the biggest role I've ever done. So I'm terrified I'm going to get up there and forget something, but luckily the cast is amazing. So I know that whatever happens, someone will save my ass.
Yeah. Very true. The true beauty of ensembleship. And Beau, introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Beau. I play Emma, and this is my first production with Selah Theater. Very exciting stuff. But yeah, I play the daughter, and I'm very excited.
Awesome. So the dynamic between you two is really, really funny in Act One. I was a little bit surprised when I went back over the movie and then looked at the script. I was like, oh my gosh, there are so many funny moments. But most people only remember the end of Terms of Endearment. And so when I tell people, oh, I'm doing Terms of Endearment, they usually go, oh, I don't know if I want to cry today. Like, well, wait a minute. There's so much more to the story. So can you tell us a little bit about what your emotional roller coaster is in the characters that you play as mother and daughter in the show? And do you think it's all sad and gory?
No,
I would say
go ahead, Paige.
The first half of the show is before intermission is very lighthearted with a lot of great one-liners, a lot of zingers that they use to define the relationships, like you said, not only between Aurora and Emma, that's that kind of testy mother-daughter relationship that I know I have with my mother. And I might have to use some of these one-liners on her at some point and borrow from Emma. But up until intermission, you really don't shed any tears. There's nothing sad.
What were you going to say?
I thought it was very interesting because I came into this not really knowing a lot about the show. Like I told my parents about it and they were like, oh, they had that same reaction of like, oh, you're doing Terms of Endearment. But like, even just like reading through the script, it's so lighthearted and funny and just quirky and quippy. And then I think that's what makes the ending so poignant, how life just kind of happens to them. And it's this sudden change of like everything's going great. Everybody's, like having a good time. And then all of a sudden life hits and you have to deal with that,
Right. I think sometimes people, Selah is pretty known for our tearjerkers and our dramas, primarily because we tend to do shows that reflect life and humanity as much as possible. We don't do a whole lot of fanfare or really we leave the fairy tales stuff to our kiddos. And even then, sometimes they do some gut-wrenching stuff. Although I'm writing a piece right now for one of my classes that involves a book about farts. So I'm not quite sure how heart-wrenching that's going to be. But what would you say to someone? Oh, yeah. It's amazing. I love the challenge. So what would you say to someone that may have that initial reaction of, oh my gosh, that's so sad. I don't know if I want to see something so sad, especially coming 2 years out of COVID, the pandemic. A lot of theaters are not doing a lot of hard hitters around the nation on purpose.
Yeah, I would definitely say because the ending is really sad, but it's also very heartwarming. Like there's hope. And I think, everybody needs a little bit of that. So it may, like at first glance, it may seem like super sad and, really negative. But I really think the show is a net positive, if that makes sense.
No, I totally agree with it. I mean, really, in reality, it's just one moment. It's one scene in particular that really has a chance to really just wring your heart a little bit. But even surrounding that one scene, there are still great moments between characters as far as relationship goes. As far as seeing, Emma's husband interacting for the first time with Aurora, so there are still a lot of great moments besides that one particular moment.
Right. And you get to see relationships evolve and come closer during that second half, particularly between Emma and her husband, that marriage that everyone else had pretty much given up on. They come back together as a team and make each other stronger.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly. I think that's what I really, really love about this script. And I think the playwright did a great job adapting the script. And as far as I do remember in the movie, how quickly it jumped from years in the first part of the movie. And I think he did a great job with adapting that, Dan Gordon. So how do you feel about the relationship between Aurora and Emma?
Yeah,
it's the relationship with my mother. I mean, I can't describe it any other way. It is absolutely the relationship that I have with my mother. Like, we are each other's biggest advocates, but she acts just like Aurora. Like, there's always something that, Paige, you didn't do this, and Paige, you didn't. Oh, Paige, will you please stop that? Oh, Paige, you're just being ridiculous,
Does she say your name as much as Aurora says Emma's name in the?
Yes, except she draws it out. She grew up in Alabama, and so it's Paige. Paige.
I love that.
Yes, it's adorable until it's
on repeat
100 times a day.
Yeah.
Do you notice how many times Aurora says Emma?
Yeah, it's a lot. But hey, I'll never forget her name.
It is a line. It's a lot. She even uses it as punctuation sometimes. Either comes with a question mark or an exclamation point or a period. So I think that's very interesting. Emma, Emma. I keep calling you by your character. So, Beau, what do you think about
10 years from now? Beau will be doing like her 20th play with you, and Tasha will be like,
Emma.
Hey, Emma.
Yeah.
Joanne still calls Gary Bono from Fences. He will forever be Bono. Yeah. So, Beau, what do you think about the relationship between Emma and Aurora?
I think it's so fascinating, like just watching them interact with each other, knowing that like they love each other, but also there's that like tension between them. but ultimately they're each other's best friends. It's really fun to watch. It's made me think of my relationship with my mother, like diving deep into all of that. It's so interesting. And I think that's another reason why this is such a good show to come and see, like just watching two people like interact with each other. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because you both never worked together, but the chemistry you two have on stage.
Never met each other.
I know. The chemistry you two have on stage is remarkable. And you feed off of each other's energies as well. So when one gives a lot, the other gives even more to top that. So it's really, really good mother-daughter chemistry. And I remember Paige saying, I've never hugged somebody so much.
Well, I'm not a hugger.
I am a hugger. I'm such a hugger.
I am too. It's like another hug. I'm like, yes. You would not be able to tell, Paige. It's very good. Very good.
That's why it's called acting.
It's the chemistry is remarkable. I think the chemistry among the entire cast is very, very cool. So we have this kind of like a side joke. And I don't know if Richard knew that I heard him the other night or not, but I was like, once again, the cast is not talking in between scenes or breaks or anything. He said, that's because you do all the talking. I heard that. But the cast is so...
Well, Jacob always makes me laugh whenever I do stuff with him, because like we'll go from these characters and then just as soon as you tell us to stop, Jacob and I are like, hey man, how you doing? Like the two of us totally drop character instantly. It becomes completely other people.
Well, you have to. The one thing I teach, especially my teenagers, sometimes when they get a character that may be high in emotion or feeling something that maybe they're not used to feeling themselves, it's kind of hard to knock them out of it. So it's great for actors to be able to be in the moment with each other, but then be out of that moment at the same time with each other as well. It's healthy because sometimes we can stay there and stick there, and that's just it's not the purpose of theater. We moved from method acting a long time ago. So yeah, but the chemistry between everybody on stage is remarkable. The cast is really, really chill. Even on breaks, everyone's just, it's chill. Like Paige and I were just talking about how there's not one person in this cast where we're like, oh, not one.
Good.
Which is very honest.
That's when you always worry that maybe you are the one and just nobody told you.
That's true. I'm like, oh, dude. So the incredible cast. Now, Jacob Reed plays Flap, which is Emma's husband. Flap. Yes. And then you have Richard Clem, who plays Paige's lover, neighbor.
The astronaut.
The astronaut. Yes. And then we have Paul Martin, that is Dr. Mays and Rudyard at the very beginning, and stepping in for him on March. I'm still in March, you guys. May 28th and 29th is Eric Lee Santaful, who brings a different flavor to Dr. Mays and Rudyard. And then we have our beloved Corinna Taylor, who plays multiple roles in the show. We call it the slut role because she plays all of Flap's interest and all of the astronaut's interest as well. But she also plays.
But she just has really brought Patsy to life for me. Like, because in the movie, you don't really get to know Patsy. Like, Patsy's kind of blah. But Corinna was not about to let anything be blah. That's for sure.
That's for sure. Patsy is fun. Patsy is a true friend there for Emma. And yes, Corinna, I think, was the perfect pick for that role. Even for the 2.5 seconds that she plays Teddy, the grandchild, and grandma off stage, it's perfect. It's wonderful. So tell me.
By the way, the tension I get when she does that when my shoulders jump up and I do this, that's not acting. That's just a genuine response to that.
She does it differently each time. So she changes the intensity of where she's yelling grandma. You could just feel
that annoying child voice perfect. And I want it to, you just want to make it stop.
I know. It's funny because she always comes off stage and she comes skipping back to the audience. Like, I did good job. Paige, tell me what it's like working with Richard Clem as Garrett Breedlove.
So my only experience with Richard Clem prior to this was when he directed 12 Angry Jurors, which is, of course, a very serious show for the most part. There's a few funny lines here and there, but it's, not a laugh a minute. There's not a lot of quips or humor. So I had no idea Richard could be so damn funny. His delivery is amazing. Like, he's got the comedic timing perfect. He knows when to take a breath and wait and let the line sink in. He knows when to draw the line out to get more of an effect from it. But it's been an incredible amount of fun.
Beau, how is it working with Jacob Reed as Flap?
So good. Because Jacob and I are friends, so we have that like connection. But seeing him go from, funny, happy, kind Jacob to this terrible, awful asshole Flap, it's just mind blowing. Like, that's why they call it acting. He's just so good at making you hate him, which gives me so much to feed off of.
Good. Yeah, no, whenever I watch him, I'm like, God, I hate you. I hate you. But it's not.
You want to just walk up on stage and smack him.
Right?
Like, who is this? And he's another one that comes skipping off stage. He's like, I did this. Or after that, there's one intense moment between you and Flap. And he walks off stage and you turn and look at the audience. You've never seen him, but every once in a while he'll stick his head back out behind the curtain to see it. and I have to go, and he's like, okay.
So funny.
Well, that's why it's so funny when he drops character, because Flap and Aurora are just so intense with each other. Like, that hatred, you can just feel it. And so, when he drops that, it just still makes me laugh every time.
The one precious moment I love between Flap and Aurora is towards the end. It's the second to last scene. It's for 2.5 seconds where he gets to hold Aurora. And it's such a tender and raw moment that you forget that they hated each other just a couple of moments before. And you're like, oh, it sucks that this is what they are now bonded over.
That grief.
Yeah, that grief. And then
she even defends him at the very end.
Yeah. And then when it's done, when I'm like, all right, move on. You guys are both like, all right, no, that felt good. Yeah, no, that felt good. Oh my gosh. So even though Selah does a lot of, thought-provoking or tear-jerkers, whatever people want to call it, I always think it's funny when it comes to working with the ensemble, because we can barely get through some serious stuff without busting out laughing. And I don't know what people think when actors come into rehearsal. Like, do they dread coming to rehearsal? Like, what? I'm like, no. These people, I'm like, okay, we're laughing forever about one stupid line or stupid flub or
yes.
Jacob Reed, why can't you trip down? Always something that we're laughing at, and it's always at the worst, what's supposed to be the worst moments. I tell Beau a lot that you're dying.
Yeah.
Get into it. What are you doing? You're too happy. So we have a lot of laughter that happens in the rehearsal process, but also in the show within itself. You guys, a few nights ago, that energy with everyone coming back, because what most people know is that we had to postpone the show from March, and now we're back in rehearsal for it. And sometimes you feel like the energy can be when you come back to something for a while, but you guys really, really brought energy that night. I thought you would have thought there was an audience with how energetic it was, and the pace was right. It wasn't perfect, but it was good. It was really, really good. And so I think it's that kind of energy that the audience can thrive off of, beyond just the story, just the energy that the actors are given. I mean, if you guys are given that kind of energy with no audience, imagine what you're going to be like, because everyone hands it up when there's an audience. So especially Richard, I guarantee you Richard is going to be handing for some laughs there during the show with an audience. It's just, for me, artistically, I have been in the dumps artistically as a director, and this cast has really, really been a dream cast to come back from the pandemic. One, the dedication, the commitment, they learned their lines before Tech Week. The overall joy to
How did that happen?
I don't know. It was like you guys wanted to be there. The overall joy of the story and wanting to tell the story and wanting to give it everything. The professionalism has just been incredible. And that's why it was so important that we had to postpone it, because we didn't have stage lights, working stage lights. Right. But the lights for this show are very important for a lot of time lapse and changes, because it's rare that Aurora is not on stage, and she has a lot of quick changes, and the lights are important. The sound is important. So that's why we had to postpone, and it just adds to the story. So I cannot wait to add that to the story of what you guys are already doing. It's really been an incredible journey for me. How about you guys?
Yes.
No pressure or anything.
One of my concerns when we first started with it was the characters are complex. These are not flat one-dimensional characters that you see so much of in shows. And so to be able to get that depth in there when you're trying as an actor to make sure, like as I described to a few people, like Aurora is really unlikable, but I'm also trying to make her lovable at the same time. And I mean, Emma's kind of the same way. Emma's like, there are things about Emma that you want to cheer for her, but you're also kind of like, why do you keep doing this to yourself? You keep leaving yourself in this situation, Emma, get out. And the lighting enhances that. Without the lighting, it would have really made it feel more flat. You wouldn't have gotten, like you said, that sense that we're moving through time periods.
Yeah, it covers the span of 10 years between the time Emma is 18 to about 28, 29. And Emma has, in the course of that 10 years, has had how many? 3 kids?
Yeah.
3 kids, married, Aurora and the astronaut, back and forth. I mean, there's a lot that's happened. Even Patsy has children and married through that time. So the lighting, I totally agree with you, is very important. It's rare that I'm very anal about lighting when it comes to stories. Usually we can move forward, but this is just one of those scripts that we just couldn't do that. Even though
it would have been so distracting.
Our set designer, Catherine Milton, when she came out to see it, and she's also our lighting person, when she came to see it, she was like, I could see this without lights. I don't want to, but I mean, I'm like this, watching it right now. So, which is a compliment to the cast, of course.
You can't get a higher compliment than from Catherine.
No, you cannot. So what is probably one of your favorite moments, Beau, in the show?
Probably. Okay. So my favorite is probably the very end when we get to see, because the whole show, Flap and Emma are butting heads. They're angry with each other. They're fighting. They're bickering. for good reason. But at the very, very end, we just see that nice moment of, well, maybe they do love each other. That moment of like tenderness and like forgiveness and just raw like emotion. I think that's very powerful.
What about you, Paige?
The scene where Emma takes the kids and walks out on Flap for a while and comes to Aurora, and that bedroom scene, the conversation between the two of them, where they've now become peers. They've become more equals and friends than they were. At that point, you realize how that relationship has grown and changed for how both Emma and Aurora have grown and changed.
Right. No, those are both two great moments. My favorite scene, I don't know if I actually have a favorite. No, I lied to you. My favorite scene is when Garrett comes over to Aurora's place. That's got to be my favorite moment. The end of Act 1.
I don't know how I'm going to keep a straight face.
I think it's hilarious. I cannot.
Like you said, he's going to ham it up even more with an audience.
He's going to be awful. He's going to be just awful as a ham with that scene. I mean, because people are going to be cracking up. And anyone who knows Richard or knows Paige, it is such a alternative to their personalities.
Absolutely.
Who they are. It's funny, it's hilarious, it's sexually high, intense, and it's great because how often do we get to see mature adults having intimate moments on stage? I mean, it's not that intimate, but it's more intimate than you would than most things.
It's not X-rated
intimate, but
it's not Aurora does Middletown.
But
just make sure people understand that.
But it is great, the flirting, and there's lots of butt grabbing between the two of you, and it's just hilarious. So that's probably my favorite moment of all. Has anything been hard for you in your character, finding who your character was, or discovering who they are, or something that you still struggle with your character?
Yeah, you know what I'm gonna say. Dying.
Yep, we're dying.
It's a little tough. I've never done the dying thing before on stage, and so, but you said something very, very helpful. I remember you said something along the lines of when she's sick, she's lost all the light and brightness in her, and she just kind of is. And I've just been trying to contextualize that and use that and just play someone who is very, very sick.
Yeah. There was one time before we postponed the show that when Emma died, it was a piece of cake. It was a great moment between all three of you, Beau, Paige, and Jacob, on stage at the moment. One, Jacob put his foot down finally. So that was a hurrah. And two, Paige used her breathing more, which was great in the grieving parts. And then Beau it was very natural with the flowing of the weight of the body and use of breath and all of that stuff. So that could be tough, especially on stage, and to make it believable and not make it like a caricature or that overly dramatic, cartoony kind of way of doing things. I have a tendency to despise over actors when it comes to tender moments like that, only because I get sucked out of the moment. If I'm with you emotionally as an audience member or someone witnessing a piece of work, it takes me out because it doesn't feel real. And so when I'm pushing you in that moment, it's about how real can we make this feel. because someone, even if it's just one person, is going to be connected to that moment in time somehow, some way, whichever way it may be. And then vice versa, they may be connected to Paige's character, or they may be connected to Jacob's character. But that moment really has to be real, and honest to whoever's witnessing the work in that moment. Paige, was something difficult or something that you struggle with?
Aurora is very dramatic.
Mm-hmm.
And I've struggled with trying to hit that right level of drama with her, because I don't want it to become cartoonish or over the top or just annoying. I want her to still be a lovable character that you can relate to. But she's kind of loud and pushy, and of course, I'm nothing like that.
No, not at all. No. Oh, there was a child. That was my child. Yeah, no.
Well, I did tell you what one of my clients read about when I told him the quote about the challenge of taking this person who's really kind of pushy and unlikable and making her lovable is very difficult. And he looked me straight in the face and said, "Well, you do a pretty good job of it as a realtor." I was like, Thank you.
No, I don't think you're nowhere near as close as Aurora. I don't think. but yeah, Aurora is, like you said earlier, is very complex, and she has her ways of doing things and has always expected her daughter to be basically like her. And her daughter is not, the polar opposite. And that's kind of like me and my mom. We're polar opposites when it comes to that. My mother is decked out, makeup, jewelry, clothes, all of that. And I wear t-shirts and jeans 99.9% of the time. No eyebrows on today. And, and that's just how we were. That dynamic is there. And Aurora is completely over the top. I love your version of Aurora. I also love and adore the version Shirley MacLaine had in the movie. Yes. But I think that your version is the appropriate stage version of Aurora. You can't get up close and personal like you can with a camera. So everything is heavily reliant on your body language and your facial expressions and your connection with your actors. And the other part about that too is that you guys have one shot each time that you do it. There's no stop and go. You have one shot to either make it work or make it flop. So I think that is the huge difference between you and Shirley MacLaine. My child. So yeah, I get the struggle, but it's there. It's definitely there.
Well, I keep finding new places where I can insert a little attitude for Aurora.
Good. Anything else you guys want to add?
Come see the show. It's really good.
Oh, yeah, it is so good. And
come see it. You'll laugh. You'll laugh more than you'll cry.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. And it is it's a great partnership with Lord Fairfax Community College. They've allowed us their theater space to use that hasn't really been used until we came in this year for the past 3 years. We did our Christmas show there that Paige was actually the producer of, Glory Be. And now we're back with Terms of Endearment. And even though it was postponed, the cast has great energy and they have a great story to tell. And I'm so excited about that.
Juju is behind. Juju's sneaking behind you.
I don't know if you're using the bathroom and everything.
Tiptoeing.
Mm-hmm. And then
nope.
Yep. So thank you. Okay, go. Oh. She's not an actor at all. Not an actor. Yeah, so we
maybe she'll play Aurora when she's older.
Oh, it'll be me and her. Yeah, we really want to encourage folks to come see the show, to not only support Selah Theater Project, but also Lower Fairfax Community College, and them being community partners and allowing this community theater to come in and kind of take over their theater space to bring a great story. And this town of Middletown has been fabulous as far as welcoming theater back into the area. I know it can be disheartening when a theater leaves an area, but they've been gracious and wonderful. And some folks have already bought their tickets or exchanged their tickets from March and all of that jazz. So we're really, really hoping that more Middletown folks will come out, but even Front Royal, which is right there, and then Winchester, which is right here. And we can have as many folks as we like to come to this show and witness the great acting of Paige and Beau. Thank you both for joining me today.
Of course.
Thank you.
I appreciate you. So I'm going to say I'm going to say a few final words to our audience here, and then we'll be good to go. So I'm going to take you off the stream now. Thanks, everybody, for joining us for Cast Conversations with Selah Theater Project and the cast of Terms of Endearment, Part 1 with Paige Ulevich and Beau Bostock. Great conversation, great answers to some questions that I had for them. And we hope to see you at Lord Fairfax Community College on May 20th through the 22nd or 27th through the 29th, supporting local theater, community theater, and the arts in the Shenandoah Valley. We'll see you again soon with our next guest. I wonder who it'll be. We'll see you guys. Bye.